to the
California
ground.
Business District.
This so unbalanced the remainder of the top that it too split apart and went down. When the storm was over,
Does peace really
not
have a
a
chance
twig
within our lifetime?
of the once proud tree
At Rotary,
remained.
we believe it does.
Early the next morning, the
We've
farmer
created
went out to
programs at
mourn his
universities
loss.
around the world
Then his eyes
dedicated
caught
solely
sight
to
of
teaching
something
peace to a new
in the
generation.
splintered ruin. The wedge, he muttered reproachfully, that I found in
It
the
was a new
south
symbol of
pasture.
peace.
A glance told him why the tree had fallen. Growing
For your next
edge up
business or group
in the
excursion,
trunk,
contact the
the wedge had
family-owned and
prevented the
operated
limb
tour and
fibers
transit
from
company
knitting
that's been
together
serving our region
as they
for
should.
67 years.
My
Enfield
dear
Stages
brothers
is
and
committed
sisters,
to providing a safe and friendly
there
travel
are hidden
experience for our
wedges
guests. Our
in the
comfortable
lives
coaches
of many
and
whom
courteous
we
skilled
know.
drivers can take you to any
Yes,
of today's popular
perhaps in our own
destinations.
families. Let me
Call
share
for
with
your
you the
free travel
account
brochure and let
of
us
a
schedule a
lifelong
coach for
friend
help with planning
now
your next
departed
event.
from
Call
mortality.
Enfield Stages
His name
at
was Leonard.
1-800-245-8600.
He was not a member of the church, although his wife and children were. His wife served as a primary
Welcome back to the
president.
Vulcan Sports Review.
His
I'm
son
Tom
served
Burns, the
on
Sports
an
Information
honorable
Director at Cal,
His
and we're
daughter
talking
and
to
his
head coach
son,
Dennis Lasky
married
of the men's soccer
companions
program.
in
Dennis, thanks for
solitary
rejoining us. We had a nice little visit with two of your players today. And
Everyone who knew
good
him
young men, good guys. And that's one of the things you're proud of with your team is the quality of the student and student athlete, and just general good guys on your team.
I mean, both of those young men are over 3.0, over 3.0 GPA, as well as 17 others on the team. So, you know, one of the first things that I do in terms of recruiting is look for good student athletes, not just the good athletes, because these young men survive to be juniors and seniors, as we say. And then once they've, you know, had the system instilled into them for 2 years, then you see a lot of good results from the fruits of the labor, as they would say. But good students first, and both of those young men are outstanding. On schedule to graduate on time.
One's ahead of schedule, right?
Right, actually, sure, one is ahead.
Well, let's talk about your team and what the upcoming schedule looks like. We talked about it a little bit with the two players. Tomorrow you play at Pitt Johnstown. There's a schedule on the screen.
Yes.
Thursday you play at home against Shippensburg. That's a 4 o'clock game, and that's a big league game. You talked about that. You need some scoring. And then after the trip to Kutztown, you've got 3 straight league home games. 2 of them will be on CUTV. And that's a stretch where you really need those 5 games: Shippensburg, Kutztown, Simple Rocky, Strasburg, and Lockhaven. Those 5 games you really need to make your mark in the standings.
Yeah, that's probably going to make or break our run at the playoffs. And we as a team, myself as a coach, and my coaching staff are optimistic that we can do that. I mean, despite the fact that we have a relatively young team, we are confident that they can make a good run at the playoffs.
Just going back to that schedule quick, I realize there's a game missing from that schedule, a game that's being switched. On September 29th, we have us on the schedule that we're playing Bloomsburg, but that game is being moved to Sunday the 30th,
right,
with a
at
noon
noon.
start. So there's
Yes.
another game in there that 4 straight home games,
Right.
that makes even more impression on the schedule. And so fans, if you want to write that in, September
30th.
September 30th
Sunday.
instead of September 29th against Bloomsburg. That'll be a noon start. But this week it's Shippensburg, the 20th, Thursday at 4 o'clock. And as you say, the offense has to get going into that. Now, one of the things you didn't have problems with offense, a couple of your offensive players are being inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, some of your former players.
Right.
You have Thomas Boltnar, who is on the record books as the most prolific scorer in Cal U history.
Yes.
And on the women's side, the first ever women's soccer inductee, Sherry Valera, one of the standouts on the women's team that you coached back
Right.
in the 90s before you hired Nikki Barkas and got the women's program not separated, but a little bit on their own. Let's talk about those two real quick.
Yeah, tremendous offensive players, just great mind for the game. Both of them had excellent technique in striking the ball, either foot, very accurate, and both tremendous passion for the game. An honor well deserved for both of them. Sherry Valera she was an Olympic development player when she came to Cal previously in Eastern Pennsylvania, and had tremendous impact on our program. She was a regional All-American several times, and all-conference, Just great player, absolutely great player. No problem finishing. Give her half a chance, and she scored. And Boltnar, very much out of the same mold like that. He came in as a freshman. He needed a little physical maturity to help out the mental part of his game, and that physical maturity enhanced his technical ability, and became just such a great player. His last 2 years here, he was the Player of the Year in the PSAC, and led the conference in scoring and assists, and one of the top people in the nation.
And this will be the second straight year that the men's soccer team has had a player inducted in the Hall of Fame. Last year, Omar McPherson was inducted. Omar recently left the college and now lives in California. He was an assistant coach for a couple years. But Thomas is playing professional ball for you, or not for you, but professionally. And several others. Nicholas Adlery, who is also another Hall of Fame candidate, is playing professionally. You have several of those kind of people out in the world representing Cal U.
Well, that's the basis of our program. You can't take it wrong in terms of us wanting to win games, but we will never forsake player development over winning games. We are going to try to play good soccer. We're going to try to develop good people, good students, and hopefully at the end of the day we have a few that go on and continue to play at the next level. And Nicholas Adlery, I mean, tremendous player. I'm sure a Hall of Fame candidate, as you had mentioned. And he was just recently named as Major League Soccer Player of the Week, playing for DC United. Just turned into an outstanding soccer player. And we've had several, that have played in the MLS, the PDL, the A-League, continue to play. And I mean, it's just it's a feather in our cap at the university that we have these people that go on. And one of the bright spots for you personally is the fact that you're all still in contact. You're still in contact with all these players, and that's one of the things that coaching at a place for a long time. You still keep all those relationships going. You hear the good news. You watch Nicholas Adlery on TV when he's on at 10 o'clock at night or whatever, and just your involvement with the students while they're here, but also after they're gone. That's a fun part of the job. Well, Nicholas will be here shortly, and he's coming to visit with us, and he'll do some training with us and speak with the players, as well as Thomas Boltnar. Boltnar will be here, and he will train with us and give us a little insight of getting to the next level.
All right. Dennis, I want to thank you for joining us this week. We wish your team luck. We wish your team goals, and hope to see you a lot of home games in the next few weeks, and we hope the fans can come out to Rodman Park and check out the Vulcans. Looking at the schedule real quick, the women's soccer team will be at home tomorrow against Davis and Elkins. That's a 4 o'clock match. That's Tuesday the 18th, and then Thursday the 20th, the men's soccer team will be home against Shippensburg, a PSAC match at 2 o'clock. And then on Saturday the 22nd, both soccer teams are on the road, but the volleyball team will be at home. They'll play 2 matches, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. The football team has off this weekend. Golf, tennis, everybody's playing. We hope you watch the results on the Cal Vulcan internet site, www.calvulcans.com. The last thing we want to remind you is 2 things, actually. One, on September 29th, it's Family Day at Adamson Stadium. And it's also Take a Kid to the Game Day, so you can get the kids in free to the football game against Clarion, but it's also Family Day, so we hope for a big crowd, a lot of excitement at Adamson Stadium, September 29th, 3 o'clock game. That'll be broadcast statewide on the Sports Fever TV network. And then the other thing we want to remind you is the Hall of Fame banquet, Friday, October 19th, 9 inductees, including a men's soccer player, Thomas Boltnar, and a women's soccer player, Sherry Valera, and Bruce Wald, former sports information director, among many others. It'll be a great night, and if you'd like to attend, we encourage you to call the Carra House, the Alumni Association. They have tickets for sale. It'll be a great night and a lot of fun. We hope to remind you on that Friday, October 19th. Thanks again for joining us on the Vulcan Sports Review. We'll be back in 2 weeks with women's soccer coach Al Alvine.
university where success is more than a paper chase for a degree. One that builds the kind of character that can help you do the right thing as well as the smart thing. Where core values of integrity, civility, and responsibility are not just taught, but integrated into your day-to-day experience. California University of Pennsylvania.
This fall,
The following broadcast is a presentation of CUTV Sports.
From suburban Philadelphia, we're at O'Shield Stevenson Stadium at Cheney University, Pennsylvania, as the California Vulcans are set to take on the Cheney Wolves. Hello again, everybody. My name is Josh Eaches, and alongside me today are Stephanie Smith and Joe Rubel. And guys, we're primed for a big game after California is on the heels of a huge victory against the Bloomsburg Huskies.
Yeah, Cal came out 31-13 win over the, at then point, the number 12 team Bloomsburg Huskies, and Cal moving up in the rankings after that win.
And California jumps all the way to 15 in the rankings after that big victory. And you can see Cheney last week went on the road to Indiana. Indiana opening their season last week. An 80-14 victory. That number may be a little skewed. Indiana had 2 fumble returns for a touchdown and also a big kick return for a touchdown in that game. And it's not like IUP even ran up the score. The starters were out at halftime. They did nothing but run the ball in the second half. Cheney just wasn't able to stop them.
Right, but despite being East and West teams, these two teams aren't strangers to one another. In fact, they did meet last season, in which California once again got the better of them.
Yeah, you see last season California, a big 43-8 victory. California up big at halftime in that game, and the starters came out. You can see California's only loss to Cheney was in 1972, a 12-0 loss, and that was the first time these two teams met. Since then, California has run the table against Cheney. And California, they haven't been here for a couple years. The last 2 games have been at Cheney, but their last victory here, a big game. Antoine Bagwell had, I believe, a 98-yard touchdown run in that game.
Yeah, and guys, today some of the keys for California and Cheney, both of them not as much strategy as it's going to be a mental game today, as not too many people expect Cheney to win this one. For California, Steph, you got to think outside the box. Remember, you're on the road, you're not at home.
Yeah, and you just have to get that in their head. You have to start going on road games. You got lucky having your first 3 games of the season at home. You have to play away, and that's one thing that you can do here at Cheney, starting here. Crowd is a little bit in the favor of California right now, though.
And Joe, win big. We said it on there because a lot of people expect California to win this one, and it's about a huge margin of victory. That's how you get yourself moving up in those polls we've been talking about over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and unfortunately the Indiana game last week for Cheney, it's really hurting California right now because the voters in the polls are going to see that Indiana, an unranked team, blew Cheney out of the water by that score. Now, if California doesn't win by 40, 50 points, they're going to say, oh, maybe California's not as good. So it kind of starts to skew the thinking of the voters in the polls. But California, by no means, if it does get to that point, they will not run the score up. If it happens, it happens. It's just one of those things.
And for Cheney, their keys, keep a mental bubble. Steph, the only way Cheney's going to be able to stay in this one is if they stay focused for the whole 4 quarters of play.
And that's how it is with any game. If you're going to lose your focus because you're losing at halftime or something, you have to keep your focus up. You have to keep trying and keep trying. And Cal, like we said, they will not run the score up. And they're just going to keep trying. They're going to play other people that won't play if it gets that bad. So just keep your focus up, and remember to always just look forward and don't think about what happened before.
Yeah, and for the Wolves, Joe, if you talk a little bit of strategy, one thing you might want to think about if you're the Wolves is you have 2 decent linebackers. It might be a good idea to plug the middle because Bloomsburg had some success last week when they forced Lombardi to the outside.
Yeah, and when you look on defense, the linebacking core for Cheney is a strong point, and they might be able to stuff up the middle, but the problem is going to be if California can get outside of Justin Allen and Brandon Hawkins. At this point, Brandon Lombardi is going to be 5-6 yards at least deep into the secondary before they get to Tyree Cooper, the strong safety, who is one of the best players on this team all around.
Yeah, and now you take a look at the tail of the tape, Steph. California leading in just about every statistical category.
The one big thing there, points per game, 90, and for Cheney, 36. It's going to be a big thing coming into this game.
Yeah, we're at Cheney University, of course, here in Pennsylvania. The weather today is blustery, winds out of the northwest about 10 to 15 miles an hour. A partly cloudy day with temperatures right around 70, a good fall weather day for football. Kick is away, Jason Moore on the kickoff, and it is deep. Back to return for Cheney is number 10, Eric Frazier. He gets it to about the 30-yard line and is brought down there, and the Cheney Wolves offense will come onto the field. And we got a couple of nasty linebackers coming on the field for the Vulcans, Joe and Steph. Brian Moore, Josh Zunich, and Darren Burns, certainly the feature player in today's 3-4 defense for California.
Yeah, those three guys, all big players. Can't forget about the fourth, Gary Butler on the outside. PSAC Defensive Player of the Week a week ago in that Bloom game. 7 tackles, a couple of sacks, a couple of forced fumbles, and fumble recoveries. And really, in most of those numbers for Gary Butler in the second half, especially the 2 fumbles and the fumble recoveries, that really sealed the deal for California in that game.
Looks like Bo Thompson is going to be under center for the Cheney Wolves. They have a couple of capable quarterbacks in Thompson and Derek Murray. Pitch is back, and it is a reverse. Frazier has it. That's the return man that you saw a minute ago. Now he's coming up the near sideline and is bumped out of bounds after gaining about 3 or 4 yards on the reverse play.
And a nice sell by Jesse Phillips, the running back. A very small guy, which I'll tell you what, if I'm Jesse Phillips, I do not want to go against this California defense. Phillips only 5'8", about 170 pounds, 160 pounds. A very small guy back there in the backfield.
Single back formation, slot receiver on the far side of the field. Thompson dropping back. He's going to throw, gets it over a Cal defender into the flat. That one is complete to number 19 for Cheney, Charles Johnson, 6'2", 205 senior wideout from Dallas, Texas. And that gets them very close to a first down. Looks like it's going to be just shy.
And you could tell they're trying to move it a little bit, but it's going to be hard because Cal right now is ranked 8th in total defense in the nation. That's a big feat for them, and they've been holding it very well right now, only letting Cheney get a little bit of yards.
162 yards a game, the number for that Cal defense. Remember, California, they've played one more game than everybody else to this point because of the early start with the move of the East Stroudsburg game.
Housekeeping note, that was a first down. They did get enough yardage. Roll out by Thompson. That pass thrown into the flat, intended for Frazier, dropped short. Thompson rolling there, didn't get his best arm on that one, Steph.
I like Cheney coming out passing early and not running the ball, knowing that Cal's run defense is very good, and just trying to attack the pass, see what they can get going in the first quarter and the first drive of the game.
Yeah, and Joe, we talked about moving the ball and controlling the clock. If you're Cheney, passing may not be the way to do it, but if it's effective, why not?
Oh yeah, and that's how the first touchdown, and really both touchdowns last week for Bloom came was through the air, that big 81-yard completion to really get that game underway.
Cheney in the I formation. There was some few jumps early on the line there. Could have been offensive or defensive. But yeah, not many run plays yet. The only run they've gone for was a gadget play, and it was on the reverse.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially after the game last week. You might think Cheney's going to come out in this game, getting conservative, taking it easy on offense just to not make that big mistake. Because let's face it, California has generated 35 points off of turnovers through 3 games. That's a very large number, no matter how many games you've played. I mean, that's a big number for a season, let alone, 3 games. So Cheney, maybe that surprise factor, trying to catch Terrence Johnson. And the thing with the passing game now, going left to right, this direction Cheney is going, they're going back into the wind a bit that way, and it's a very stiff breeze. It's going to be tough to throw that deep route without the chance of it getting picked off.
Shotgun once again. Thompson drops back and hits a nice slant pattern over the middle. This one complete to Charles Johnson. That's 2 catches for him early on. And the big 6'2" wideout using his size to get open across the middle of field. Steph, how important is it to have a slot wide receiver of that stature?
Well, you need to make sure that they match up with Cal's D ends and other people too. Some of the size on Cheney's team doesn't match up with Cal, but having that size matchup will get you probably all the time for Cheney.
Yeah, very familiar to that matchup that California utilizes often with Nate Forson as their slot receiver, despite being their top target. Bo Thompson trying to roll out, fumbles the football. He had pressure coming from the backside. California most certainly has recovered. Kirby Griffin is the man on the recovery, and we'll see who came on the backside pressure there to force the fumble for California.
They're calling it an incomplete forward pass.
Let's see, Kirby Griffin jumped the snap count. And, well, yeah, they got the toss forward. So Cheney very fortunate to retain possession there after a busted play, and that was 96, Willie Walker, that actually busted up in there.
Now, Walker, a vital component to this 3-4 defense for California, been in the starting rotation for 2 to 3 years now, seeing good playing time. And Willie Walker, one of the mainstays on the front seven for California. Pitch back by Thompson, goes to Phillips. Phillips runs in the middle, is met by a wall named Brian Moore for the stop there after a gain of about 3 yards. How good are these linebackers for California, Joe?
Oh, they're outstanding. If you caught the first broadcast that Fox Sports Net did, former West Virginia coach Don Neyland said these might be the 4 best linebackers in the country. Said they could probably play at the next level or any level of college football, meaning D1, D2, or D3.
Pitch back, Phillips back to Thompson for a flea flicker. That play just took too long to develop, and at this point, Steph, I got to say that Cheney's trying to get a little bit too cute with California here. You had something working with the quick passes. Why are you trying all these trick plays now when you know how aggressive California's defense is?
Well, maybe this, assuming that Cheney's looking this way, they could be trying to figure things out, how to get through the latter part of the game maybe a little bit, trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not going into the next series.
Jermaine Moye back to return for California. He's had a good season as a returner, averaging 9.6 yards per punt return. He's going to call for the fair catch here, and has it. California will take possession at their own 35-yard line, and onto the field comes an offense that demoralized this Cheney team last year. Brandon Lombardi on only 10 carries, 95 yards. Joe, they're going to give it to him early and often.
I expect Brandon Lombardi to get his 10 to 15 touches in the first half, but if I'm California, they want to come out and make a statement. They want to show Cheney they're here to win this game, and they're here to win big. I would not be surprised, given the field position, if Joe Ruggiero goes up top on the first play.
Joe Ruggiero, PSAC West Offensive Player of the Week last week also.
I formation of California. They don't usually start the game with this set. Play fake here. Ruggiero does drop back. Joe, good call. Deep look down the field, and it is complete to Joe Slappy. Nice pass by Joe Ruggiero. Post pattern and soft touch into the hands of Slappy. It was a little bit underthrown, but just enough to get by the Cheney defense.
This happened last week to us as well. I called for something and I asked and shall receive. The coaching staff making me look like a genius. I think it's just the fact it's my 5th year around California football to understand the philosophy of this team and to know that they mean business. This team is being compared to some of the greatest in PSAC history early in the season, and they have expectations that they need to live up to now.
I formation once again, in case you're wondering, the fullback for California, Sean Johnson. They don't use him a lot, but he's a good blocker when he's in the game. Handoff is to Lombardi on the dive play. He'll fall over the line of scrimmage, picking up about 2 to 3 yards on the play. There's that middle run that Cheney got to be weary of, Steph. If they do stuff the middle with those linebackers, they may force Lombardi to the outside.
And they do a good job on the first time stuffing the middle. You're going to see Brandon Lombardi go in the middle for the first couple plays, but then he'll start branching out to the side. It's kind of a rhythm that he gets into the first couple plays of the game.
Lombardi, a guy that, the more touches he gets, just the stronger he is just for the fact this California offensive line the last couple of years have been very good. They wear opposing defenses down. You're going to see Lombardi pick up steam as this game progresses.
Play fake once again, just a slight one. Ruggiero dropping back, quick out pattern, thrown a little bit low. I believe it was in the direction of Slappy. He comes down with it, and they are going to say, I believe that it was a completed pass. Looked like he got his arms underneath of that ball.
We do have a flag on the near side. And it's going to be defensive holding on the corner.
Now that's a good call by the officials. It was not a catch.
Ruggiero a little bit off of that one. He does have the wind behind him, so maybe he just tried to take a little bit too much off. And he had a lot of space to work with, too. He didn't really need to gun it in there. Slappy was wide open. Ruggiero jumping the gun a little bit there.
The wind's just something they're going to have to adjust to throughout the game. I know from the time that we have been here setting up, the wind has shifted directions, something they're going to have to be aware of for the rest of the game.
We do apologize. We do not have the referees mic'd up today, so the three of us will do our best to get you the calls to make sure you know exactly what's going on the field. Twin wide receivers out of the I formation, far side of the field, forces in the slot Lombardi, the tailback. Ruggiero hands it off to him. Little blast play up the right side of the line of scrimmage. That one very near the first down markers. Lombardi had a huge hole to go through there, Joe.
Yeah, you know, anytime you run up behind Tim McCutcheon, All-American center, you're going to have a big hole. And, you know, for Lombardi, that's all it is just having that field vision. We talked about it last week as well. He has the ability to see the play develop and to hit the hole or cut back, you know, really away from the design play to find that extra yardage.
Yeah, also on the right side of the line there, John Testa, 6'2 junior, 275-pound guard. A little bit of rotation there for California. And Matt Schuer, the redshirted freshman, 6'5", 285 pounds, doing a great job filling in the graduation of some of the seniors last year. Now Lombardi off tackle to the left side. Lead block by Corey Garver and Sean Johnson. That gives Lombardi about 5 more. California continuing to eke away at this Cheney defense with the runs.
And this is what we expected them to do. We expected them to run the ball mostly, to work their way down the field. Not as much pass, maybe a couple passes here or there, but you're going to see Brandon Lombardi get the most of this work out of the offense here.
And with the bye week next week, expect to see these starters play a little bit longer, depending on the situation than typically they would, just for the fact that they need to stay in game shape as they have another game right off after the bye week.
Stretch play to Lombardi. He goes towards the end zone and in. California on the board with their first touchdown of the game. Nice handoff from Ruggiero to Lombardi. And, you know, you don't see California use the stretch play too often, guys, but it worked to perfection here.
California fortunate at the start of that play that the left side of that line did not get called for a chop block. As the left tackle down there cut down into a defensive end. So California fortunate that was away from the play and not more in focus of the referees.
Lorenz in for the extra point. Kick is away up, and that one is through the goalpost and good. 7-0 lead for California. Good start to them. About 3 or 4 minutes into the game, California strikes early. We'll be back with more football right here on CUTV.
Introducing Points from National City, the best banking rewards program. It gives you points for paying bills online, using your check card, or even writing checks. Everyday things, so the points really pile up fast. Then you redeem them for lots of things you'll find rewarding. Points from National City. Sign up today. It's free.
For your next business or group excursion, contact the family-owned and operated tour and transit company that's been serving our region for over 67 years. Edenfield Stages is committed to providing a safe and friendly travel experience for our guests. Our comfortable coaches and courteous skilled drivers can take you to any of today's popular destinations. Call for your free travel brochure and let us schedule a coach or help with planning your next event. Call Edenfield Stages at 1-800-245-8600.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports coverage of California Vulcan football, where the Vulcans are out 7-0 early on in this one as they play the Cheney Wolves here at O'Shield Stevenson Stadium. California is set for the kickoff, and they'll go back on defense when Cheney showed some success moving the ball in their first drive, then kind of sputtered out, running some trick plays towards the end of the last drive. Frazier back for the return once again, heads towards the right side of the field, hops over one of his own blockers, and then is shoved out of bounds about the 25-yard line. So Bo Thompson and the Wolves offense come back onto the field, Steph. You go back to the air, you're going to run a couple more of those trick plays. Doesn't seem like that'd be the best idea.
You have to go with what works, and right now it's going with the air. Cal's just got to get a little bit used to that after last week coming off of Bloomsburg with Jamar Brittingham, knowing that he's going to run the ball a lot. You just got to get ready, get in a rhythm, scout your team, and now you know that they're going to pass it a little bit, so go after the pass.
Bo Thompson, a guy that he's only a sophomore, and with inexperienced quarterback so far this year, California, they have brought pressure, and it has showed on the stat sheet. 21 sacks through 3 games. And look for California to come here.
Handoff to Phillips. He is drilled in the backfield by Kirby Griffin for California. That's a big hit. Griffin able to get around the end right there, and Phillips is going to feel that one tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're if you're Phillips, the last guy you want to meet is Kirby Griffin. You know, you have Griffin in there, 6'2", 275, coming in at 6'8", 160. If my math's correct, that's a 115-pound difference. Steph, that's like taking you off of Kirby Griffin.
Twin wide receivers, left side of the field, ball tipped by Frazier into the air. 3 Vulcans in the vicinity, but couldn't come up with it. Thompson's going to have to keep those passes under control, Steph, and make sure that he times his routes with his wide receivers a little bit better before he throws it into 3 California defenders like that.
Well, he got lucky that 3 California defenders seemed to be mildly distracted by something else and have their own players on their mind, but that could have very easily been an interception and probably ran back for a touchdown.
And for Thompson, he needs to do a better job of checking off his hot read. As California, they had triple coverage out to the top side. Down on the near side, it's single coverage, and Thompson needs to be able to look that off and bring back to the high percentage play.
Frazier, Johnson, and Curry, the wideouts. Fake reverse to Frazier. Thompson going to keep himself. He loses the ball once again, and there is a California recovery. So they pick up another fumble, this one by number 15 for the Vulcans, Terrence Johnson, and it will be Vulcan football.
There's a flag on the field. I did see. I don't know if they're going to pick it up or not.
It's the spot. And they're giving the Cheney sidelines a warning here as guys are coming out onto the field.
And guys, this is the type of thing that Cheney plays themselves out of the games with. It's mental errors. Just got to play some disciplined football, avoid penalties, and keep your heads about you, and they may not fall out of so many games. It's a bad sign early on that Bo Thompson already has 2 fumbles.
It's a bad sign for Thompson, but head coach Tim Newsom, he's in his 3rd year here at Cheney, and he took some pretty big steps and nice stride here the last 2 years. And so far through a couple of games this season, it seems like this team has kind of reverted back a few steps. They lost some players. They have some NCAA sanctions against them right now. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Dual halfbacks for California, run out of the shotgun. It's a draw give, and I believe that one goes to Freddie Bacco. He'll go up the middle and pick up about 4 yards for California. So feigning the defense a little bit there, giving the ball to Bacco rather than Lombardi, Steph.
And it's a good thing to have Bacco back there because he's probably going to be playing more in the second half, giving Brandon Lombardi a little bit of a break. But then you can you show Cheney now that you have 2 weapons you can use and you're not afraid to use them.
Once again, twin backs for California. Slot wide receivers Nate Force on the far side of the field. Cheney backing off the line a little bit, only 4 rushers. Handoff will go to Lombardi. This time he cuts towards the outside of the field. Nice move, avoids 1 tackler, then is tripped up at the knees by number 44 for Cheney. Daniel Chambers, 6'2", 210-pound defensive back out of Philadelphia, PA, Southern High School.
I'll tell you what, Josh, we have a great view from where we're at up here at the top of the bleachers. To see that hole develop, that was just an incredible cutback. Obviously it's easier for us to see up here. It's easier for you to see at home from the higher angle of our camera. For Lombardi to be down field level and only see a block of white ahead of him, that's the field vision we talk about with Lombardi being able to see, where the hole is and where the play develops.
Ruggiero once again in a shotgun. Slot wide receiver switches to the near side now. Again, it's for Slappy to his left. Ruggiero's going to take the snap. He will throw this time. Has Force open over the middle. Goes for him. That one a little bit overshot. Force ran a nice little post and go pattern right there. Ruggiero and him weren't able to connect. Joe, this is something you and I talked about last week. The chemistry between Ruggiero and Force, despite how good Force has been this year, just seems to be a little bit off.
Yeah, it is, and I think it might be a timing thing. Nate Force running some different routes this year. We've seen him in some different positions on the field than we have in years past. And I think, as you see the season progress here in the next few weeks, you're going to see those timing routes, because that's basically what they are over the middle. They're timing routes. When Force hits a spot, Ruggiero's going to deliver the ball, and you're really going to see them start to connect more over the middle of the field. We've seen the outside routes. They're there. Those little flat routes down the sidelines. That's there.
Yeah, it is the stuff over the middle that seems to be giving them trouble. There's an out pattern complete to Joe Slappy. Good for 7 yards. That'll bring up a 3rd and short for California. Steph, the last few weeks, the Vulcans have done a terrific job of working the sidelines with the flat and the out patterns.
Yeah, and Joe Slappy's been doing a great job with that. He's been a great addition to this offense, and it seems like he clicks right in the position where they want him to be.
He really has, and he slowly but surely is falling into his niche here on this Vulcan offense. It was all Nate Force early in the season, Jermaine Moye getting involved a little bit, and each week Slappy's had more and more catches. He is a good target out there. He can't be ignored if you're a defense, and especially not if you're a quarterback. And Joe Ruggiero, he's got a good wide receiver out there in Joe Slappy. Shotgun once again, snap to Ruggiero. He will be passing, has a crossing route. Instead, he'll go to the outside of the field, pass intended for Brandon Lombardi. He drops it and absorbs a little contact. Nice hit on him right there by number 27 for Cheney, Khalil Croxton, 5'10", 170-pound D-back out of Strawberry Mansion High School in Philadelphia.
California's going to go for it, electing to keep Tyler Lorenz on the sidelines. Got a bit of a tough week last week for Lorenz. Hit a career-long 42, then came back and missed his next two, 26 and 43. California, I'm surprised they're going to spread the field here on 4th and about 5.
Little snap to Ruggiero and a quick hook pattern for Nate Force, a little bit behind him. Once again, there's that timing. It falls incomplete. And then 4 downs, not enough for California. The Wolves offense will come back onto the field, and we'll take a look while we have a second at the PSCC West standings after the replay here. Some standings that California hasn't improved on yet, but we expect them to be near the top of all season, guys.
Yeah, and Cal's just doing a great job, 3-0. They're pretty much doing everything everybody's expected of them. Underneath, Indiana 1-0. They're 1 win to this Cheney team last week, and Slippery Rock is the other team that is undefeated right now. The rest of the PSAC, we're going to have to see how it goes, but as of right now, California's right on track to finish number 1 as projected.
And they've got the tiebreaker going right now in wins. It's about that conference record, though. Conference play will start next week for California, but it's about picking up another big win here against Cheney today, and that is in 2 weeks. They have the bye next week. Host of California defenders tackling Phillips in the backfield right there. Looked like the lead man was number 62, that'd be Ficaris, and as well as 58, Brian Moore. 7:25 to play in the first quarter here. California up 7-0, and that little toss play right there, nothing doing, Joe, for the Wolves.
No, and if you're going to run against California, if you're going to use the speed back to get to the outside, you have better use speed. This California defense has some of the best team speed in the conference, and they stretch the field. They stretch the offensive line. They do not allow you to cut back. They're very sound.
Run up the middle. That one goes nowhere as well. So Cheney hasn't moved this drive too far, about 3 yards on that one. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 6 to be precise for the Wolves. Keeping on the ground and ball control, if you can hack away 3 or 4 yards per play, that's the best strategy to go for Cheney, I still say, even though they've looked good passing, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like on the replay when we saw it, looks like he just kind of was afraid to get hit.
Thompson back to pass, under pressure. Griffin got a handle on him. Thompson rolls away and wisely throws it out of bounds. Not too many times do you see quarterbacks at the Division II level have the wherewithal to get the ball away and throw it out of bounds when you're under pressure. Instead of punting from real deep in your own territory, they'll now have a 4th down and manageable 6, at least in terms of yardage-wise with the punt. Good awareness there by Thompson to get that one away from the incoming Kirby Griffin.
And I'm really surprised that Thompson was able to get out of the grasp of Kirby Griffin. Looks like Kirby Griffin just kind of eased off on the play and want to drive Thompson down to the turf.
Almost blocked by Terrence Johnson. I think he did get a piece of it because this one only goes about 15 yards. Moye picks it up anyway and absorbs a lot of contact for doing so. He'll be bumped out of bounds at the 35-yard line. A little bit scary there. That's the first time you've seen Moye make you a little bit nervous on a punt return so far this year, Steph.
Yeah, he's normally pretty heads up. He's very good with calling for fair catches when he thinks he's going to get hit because he is on offense now. He is a wide receiver. They need him out there.
And Joe,
Terrence Johnson, the man that got a hand on that kick. So nice start to this game for Terrence Johnson, a fumble recovery, and I do believe that goes in their books as a deflected kick, not a block. It did cross the line of scrimmage. Take a look at the PSAC rankings for California. 6th offensively, this Cheney's team 9th, so not too bad. The defense, though, 13 out of 13 at 54 points a game. California defensively 1st in the conference, 9.7 points per game.
Ruggiero in the shotgun. To the left of him is Lombardi. Fakes the off tackle. Flat pass to Moye. Moye gets a couple of extra yards up the middle. Little yakking by the punt returner, wide receiver, converted safety, the all-everything guy here for the Vulcans. Moye making it happen with his legs there. And how'd he pull this one off, Joe?
Oh, this is just Lombardi Gets out to the right there, a little distraction with the wide receiver, and then McCutcheon, the center, gets downfield and puts a big block on the defensive back, which really allowed Moye to pick up about an extra 6 yards.
And you can also credit that to Brandon Lombardi for a great fake. That was a great fake done by both Ruggiero and Lombardi.
And that a play there that, if Tim McCutcheon's going to have a highlight tape to send out the pro scouts, that's a play he's going to want to put on it. As the center to get 8 yards downfield and pick up a block for your wide receiver is an outstanding play.
Off tackle to the left side of the field, Lombardi is wrapped up and brought down by number 30, Justin Allen, for the Cheney Wolves. Allen, a very good linebacker for this team, 6 foot, 235 pounds, out of Waldorf, Maryland, and Westlake High School. He had 14 tackles last week in that game at IUP. That sets up a 2nd down and 6 now for the Wolves, or excuse me, for the Vulcans. 5:25 to play in the first quarter. And California really methodical so far in this game, about 5-6 yards on every play, be it a run or a pass. They continue to hack away at this Cheney defense. Flags before the play right there. Must have been some movement down there on the line. Looks like it's going to be against California.
California will back themselves up 5. Looked like that left side of the line had a little bit of a flinch there before the snap. And this is a game for California really that you don't want to see the mental mistakes because really a false start is all it is. It's a mental mistake. This offensive line, let's face it, they struggled the first week against East Stroudsburg. They had some problems. They've been getting better each week. And by the second half of the game last week against Bloomsburg, they looked very good together. They looked like one coherent, cohesive unit moving downfield, and you want to see them go the rest of this game without picking up any more penalties.
2 wide receivers to Ruggiero's right, throws another flat pattern out. This one intended for Nate Force. Again, he underthrows the big guy by just a little bit. And Joe, to build off what you're saying, that's one of the storylines today, which we can get to maybe take a look at that in a minute for California as you look at this replay and the timing issues between Force and Ruggiero continue.
Something that's also could factor that is they haven't played a game away. As we said before, this is a new field. You could have things backed up, and this is also grass field. You play on turf at Adamson Stadium. It's a little different in speed also.
And if California keeps throwing the balls, I don't quite understand the short routes as they only have single coverage on the outside just about everywhere on the field. So for California to keep these short underneath routes in the playbook today, it's not making very much sense to me right now.
Give up the middle, goes nowhere. Joe Okafor, nice job of coming around in the end and making the stop. So Tyler Lorenz will come on the field for California, and he'll try his luck at about, let's see, the ball's at the 25-yard line. Quick math, about 42 yards, which was the career long he set last week.
He's about 37. It's just inside the 30.
Kick is up.
That's good.
Looked good from here. The referee signaled it is good, so Lorenz gives the Vulcans 3 more points. They've got their lead up to 10-0 now. 4:06 to play in the first quarter. More Vulcan football on CUTV after these messages.
Loggerheads, the area's best in casual dining and entertainment. Loggerheads features cold drinks of every variety and a complete lineup of salads, sandwiches, gourmet pizzas, and nightly dinner specials. Loggerheads also offers daily food and drink specials, coffee, and dessert items. Or try our Sunday breakfast buffet available until 2 p.m. At night, you and your friends can enjoy local entertainment or various bar games. Loggerheads is located in Cole Center, 5 blocks from the California Business District.
Welcome back to Cheney University. California up 10-0 early on in this game. Tyler Lorenz kicks it off for the Vulcans after making about a 37-yard field goal. It's going to be picked up and returned by number 38 for the Wolves, Richard Kirkland. 5'10", 170-pound freshman defensive back out of Passaic, New Jersey, in Passaic High School. He's shoved out of bounds after a minimal gain on the return. Looks like Cheney's going to be starting to drive at about, did you say the 10-yard line, Joe?
Yeah. That unfortunate little bounce got up over his head there, and from that point on, the California pursuit team coming off of that right side, they've come down the right side all 3 kickoffs now, and have collapsed down and really have just smothered Cheney along their own bench. A little side note, during the commercial break, one of the line judges there told Cheney again to back up off the field. The next time they have to, it's going to be a 15-yarder against Cheney.
Thompson hands off to Phillips right there. They also run about a little stretch play. That one doesn't get them very far. California converging on that one again, and it's not just about one guy. Steph, this is gang tackling today for California. They are swarming each and every run play the Wolves throw at them.
Well, the team that you are in biggest rival with right now with IUP, they scored 80 points on Cheney. You have to send a message to IUP that you can play with the team also.
2nd down and 10 to go. Thompson dropping back to pass, throwing deep down the field on the far side. That one nearly intercepted by California. 2 defenders were right there. Looks like the player who broke up the pass was 37, Nate Payne, the sophomore defensive back who's been inserted to strong safety this season after playing linebacker last year. Thompson floated one up there, Joe, and you can't throw him that soft against 2 California defenders. If you're going to throw into coverage like that, you got to gun it in there.
No, that ball held up a little bit in the wind, and Nate Payne, maybe he should have came away with that one, but either way, you got a 3rd down 10 situation at your own 10-yard line. How aggressive do you want to get on offense when California's already forced a fumble and they blocked the last punt?
Shotgun once again for the Wolves. Thompson takes this snap, drops back to pass, has a couple of guys heading towards the sidelines. He'll be flushed from the pocket, rolls out, and is tripped up by Gary Butler towards the near sideline for the Wolves. And watch Kirby Griffin on this play, guys.
I see Kirby Griffin just break right up the middle through a double team. And, for Griffin to get through 2 offensive linemen, incredible strength. And, on a play where you're really not going to get there, you like to see him maybe ease back a little bit, save that strength for later on. But if you're Cheney here kicking out of your own end zone, you've got to be concerned.
Yeah,
California was very close in the first punt. They got to the last one. It's a fake.
Fake punt right there. Looked like it was going to work out, but California got keen on it very quickly. And the stop's going to be made by 45 for the Vulcans, Wendell Brown, redshirted freshman running back on our program here, 6 foot, 200 pounds, out of Duquesne, Pennsylvania, and the now defunct Duquesne High School. And if we can take a look at the storylines while the Cal offense is coming on the field for California, we've been talking about how important is it for them to win big today. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of expectations that they have to live up to, guys. It's their highest ranking in school history. They're at 3-0 for the first time in 6 years, and this is a 3-game road win streak for them. This is a big-time football program now at California Vulcans.
Yeah, and all you have to do is look at the last couple of years. They've been ranked. They've been up in the picture. They've won two consecutive PSAC West championships. This team is for real, and people are finally starting to realize it.
Ruggiero under center in the shotgun. The handoff was going to go to Lombardi, but there was an early whistle on the play. I think maybe there's some motion issues for California early on. And it's actually going to be a delay of the game. March California back 5 yards right there. Let's go back to the fake punt. Joe, was it the right time to try that for the Wolves? I don't think this one's out of reach yet where you need to start stuff like that deep in your own territory.
Well, I think it was actually the right call in that situation. California, they came close the first time. They got to the second one. The third time, kicking out of your own end zone. California, they're coming. You're getting the ball inside Cheney territory regardless of how good of a kick they get away. You're coming. You're going to try to block that, put either 2 or 6 on the board, and try to catch California that over pursuit.
2:36 left in the first quarter.
Draw play up the middle, goes to Lombardi. Lombardi wriggles his way to the right and then back to the left. Nice cut up the middle, saw a hole and improvises on his own. Gets a nice gain right there. And, we talk about how shifty Lombardi is and maybe not so much compared to some running backs California's had in the past, but he has the lateral motion to get the job done, Joe.
Yeah, he does, and we've talked about this. His cuts are a little more deliberate, a little more arced as opposed to the Antoine Bagwell, like playing a Madden game. You hit square, he goes 3 yards left. You hit R1, he goes 3 yards back to the right. maybe not quite that type of shiftiness out of him, but he has the ability to change direction, change fields, and he makes guys miss.
Once again, they give to Lombardi up the middle. He finds the hole again and bulldozes his way towards the end zone. He's going to be a little bit short right there, but this California offensive line is doing a great job of opening up holes for Brandon Lombardi on this one. And now, Steph, it's pretty easy to see why last year he got 95 yards on only 10 carries against this team.
Well, and this offensive line, this is the first season that most of them have played together. Yeah. They're also just trying to fit in, and with having them run the ball that much, it's helping Brandon Lombardi find where the holes are going to be. It's helping the offensive line work together a little more.
Well, it'll be a 1st and goal for California from the 5-yard line. Minute and a half to play here in the first quarter. California looking to put in their 2nd touchdown of the quarter. I formation for California, the deep back Lombardi, Johnson, the lead blocker. They will give it to Lombardi. He'll follow Johnson. Nice stuff right there by Cheney. Looks like number 32 for the Wolves comes around the outside of the line. That's Brandon Hawkins, the other big tackler for this defense. He had 10 tackles in that IUP game last week.
Cal has to watch out. They're letting the play clock run down really low, especially in that last one. They didn't break the huddle till there was 10 seconds left on the play clock.
Well, you know what, Steph, in a way you have to appreciate that. They're trying to make this as quick and painless as possible and take as much time as they can. I mean, they're already up 10-0. In my opinion, they haven't played their best game yet, but I don't really think they're opening up the playbook too much. They just want to get out of here with a win today, Joe.
No, the first play of the game, all you see is a little slant route right over the middle to Joe Slappy. Since then, it's been some out routes, a couple of streaks. The runs have all just been basically straight up the gut.
Big stuff right there by the Wolves. Good job of getting into the backfield. Number 5. I'm going to go with the last name Okafor right there. I'm not going to try the first name. He goes by Joe. I knew that he had they called him by something else here. Joe Okafor on the tackle right there. But he blasted into the backfield and tripped up Lombardi by the legs. And the Wolves defenders a little bit fired up there right there. This is a goal line stand that could give them a little bit of momentum and maybe get them down the field for a score. Good stuff by the linebackers there, and California will go at it one more time now on 3rd and goal. And there is a whistle. That's going to do it for the first quarter. And California will come back and try to punch this one in on 3rd and goal after the switch of field.
Yeah, they're going to have to watch out because now they're doing everything into the wind. It's going to be a little bit harder.
And with that, we are going to take a break during the change of quarter here. California on 3rd and goal will try to score the touchdown right here on CUTV.
If you're a student at California University of Pennsylvania who travels around campus and the region, it's good to know that if you have a problem, help is just a phone call away. It's the CalU AAA Roadside Assistance Program.
You know what? I'm having some major car problems.
The toll-free number provides up to 3 miles of free towing, tire changes, lockout service, and help for other routine emergencies. Use the Cal card for AAA Roadside Assistance.
For an inside look at all the CalU teams, it's the Vulcan Sports Review with host Tom Burns.
Let's talk about your team. Talk about the everyday 8, as they say.
It's the only place to go for exclusive interviews with the coaches.
Baseball's the type of sport that you need to continuously play to keep in that rhythm. I felt like their games would have complement each other well.
And the players themselves.
Our record doesn't really show how good we are as a team.
It's the Vulcan Sports Review this fall on CUTV.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports. California faced with a 3rd and goal. We have a timeout on the field. And while we have a second, we talked about some storylines for California. Let's look at the other side now of the ball. Cheney's storylines, it's been a tough decade for the Wolves, and they're just now starting to get things together, Joe.
Well, it has been. You see Cheney 4-67 this decade. They did have to forfeit 3 wins from the last 2 seasons. You know, they lost, worst loss since 2004 was last week. And it is their home opener. It's the first game here this season after 2 straight on the road. But, you know, that 4-67 mark is not a good number. Did the math earlier today. This team only has 181 wins since 1914. If you do the math, it works out to between 2 and 3 wins a season. So, you know, not a very good team. They've had some seasons that had 7, 8, 9 wins. Mm-hmm. They just also had at least a handful of seasons where they've gone 0-11, 0-9, 1-10. There's been a lot of those seasons as well. So, you know, this Cheney team, They're working. They're working at it.
It's not.
And I do believe they will be getting better over the next couple years. They got 26 freshmen on the roster this season.
Yeah. I formation for California. Ruggiero gives it to Lombardi. Dive play up the middle, and he bowls his way into the end zone for the Vulcan touchdown. So that puts them up by at least 3 scores now. Good run by Lombardi, and that time he didn't have that big of a hole, Steph, but he used his power and kept those legs churning to get across the goal line.
And that's what you have to do to be a good running back. And in any position, you just got to keep moving. If you really want that touchdown, you're going to go for it, and that's what he did, and that's what he does the best.
Run come in for the extra point, try to make this an even 17-0. Kick is up, and that one is good through the uprights. First quarter, a good performance by California in a couple aspects of the game, Joe.
Yeah, take a look statistically, California, and this is through the first 15 minutes. We don't have the last 4 seconds on the stat sheet. You can take a look at this Lombardi touchdown run. Really just goes untouched right in the middle. McCutcheon clears the way for the Lombardi score, but Lombardi now 12 carries, 48 yards, and a pair of touchdowns, including that touchdown. Ruggiero, maybe not the first quarter he wanted there. 3 of 7 for 54 yards. He's missed a couple. Take a look at this fast fact for California. It's always sunny in Philadelphia, Steph.
Yeah, California has never lost to Cheney at O'Shield Stevenson Stadium, and that says a lot. Some people are intimidated to come to a team that, may not be that good, but it's a home opener. You don't know how they're going to be at home every year, so Cal needs to come in thinking that they've never lost here. They need to keep that going.
For most of these players, that loss came before any of these players were even born. That really one of those things. You take a look, Cheney offensively in the first quarter, 17 offensive plays, 31 yards. You do the math, that's less than 2 yards per play. Eric Frazier had 1 carry for 7 yards. Other than that, rushing-wise, 10 carries, 11 yards total for this Wolves offense.
Frazier will be deep for the return rate here, but it's squibbed, so he'll not get a chance to pick it up. It's fielded at the 35-yard line for the Wolves, and now some chippiness on the field. Joe, we read before the game that Cheney gets very frustrated when they get down, and it's things like this that take them right out of ball games. And with what I just saw on the field, I wouldn't be surprised to see some players take a walk to the locker room here.
Well, you know what? There was absolutely no flags thrown on that play. I do not agree with that on the part of the officials. Don't make them even, but throw the flags. Tell these players that you're in control of the game. You see one more situation like that on this field, and these officials are going to lose all control of this game. So, it could turn out to be ugly unless, the officials gather control. They're talking to the California defense right now. California probably the cause of that. Rushing down on the punt, how often do you expect a return man to just fall on a squib kick also?
Yeah, so. And Joe, it's sort of a bizarre scouting report without going into too many details. It blatantly says on there that you can get in these guys' heads and they're going to start arguing and shoving and pushing each other, if things get ugly on the field out there, and it's starting to get that way.
Well, and the guilty party for Cheney, Joe Okafor, number 5, the scouting report on him is that he kind of plays his own way. Once this team starts to get down, he kind of does his own thing. I think that's starting to show a little bit here.
Thompson back to pass, finds his man in the flat. It is complete to number 81, Dominic Curry. And he's the best wide receiver on this team, guys. It's his first catch in this game, but he is a playmaker on the basketball team here at Cheney as well, staying at 6'3", 211 pounds. Junior wideout's a 2-time all-conference selection and a PSAC Rookie of the Year last year. 63 passes for exactly 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's the guy in the passing attack that Bo Thompson's going to want to get the ball to today.
And the problem with trying to find Curry now, they're moving him around, trying to get him away from Terrence Johnson, but Terrence Johnson's a shutdown corner. They just can't quite get him the ball.
Stretch play to Phillips. He's going to be pushed a little bit backwards there. I think he loses a yard on the play. That'll set up a 3rd down and 5. Steph, again, the passing attack has been the most effective for Cheney so far in this game. Why do they keep getting away from it?
It's just something, again, now you're kind of with the wind. If you're going to pass, I would pass now, pass down with the wind. Maybe running just to calm the hostility a little, maybe that happened after that play. I couldn't tell you why they're not throwing the ball, but maybe they think the running's just going to happen.
And maybe they're just trying to set something up and keep the California Vulcans honest, but You know, running against these linebackers isn't going to be a good idea at any point in the game. Shotgun formation, Cal showing blitz. They will bring a couple of guys off the end. Draw play up the middle to Phillips. I think that's a good call right there because Thompson wouldn't have had any time to pass with about 3 added rushers for the Vulcans.
I'll tell you what, that is the time Thompson should have just dropped back and unloaded the ball. California, both starting corners to the near side, actually lined up as linebackers. That was Terrence Johnson and Deontay Henry, both blitzed in off the corner. It was Henry that got in the backfield to make the play for that third down stop. But, you know, you look out to that top side, a couple of reserve defensive backs in the field. That's where they should have tried to unload and find Dominic Curry.
And a quick 3-and-out for the Wolves. They only took about 30 seconds off the clock. High spiraling kick into the hands of Moye. The wind certainly helped that one out. He cuts back, finds a lane up the middle. There's a flag on the play, and Moye is brought down at the 35-yard line by number 34 for the Wolves, Norman Belton, 5'9", 220-pound fullback out of Patterson, New Jersey.
Those were some good moves that he had running down. And you just have to be aware now that you're the kick returner. You can do what you want. And he got the extra yards, but it looks like they're going to be taken away a little bit.
The flag was a block in the back against California. So we'll go 10 yards back from the point of the catch. And you'll be able to see it. It's in our camera range. It's going to come right there. That little shove in the back is enough to back California lose about 18 yards of field position. But for this offense, they've had a short field all day. Probably not the worst thing in the world for them to come out and have to go, 85 yards to see how they can do a sustained drive against this Cheney team.
California's offense back onto the field. Lombardi's work not done yet in this one. I think they want to get their lead up by about another touchdown or two before they start to filter in some of the second-string players. Lombardi gets a handoff, goes to the left side of the line, tries to cut back. But before he can make that move, he is hauled down by, looked like one of the big defensive linemen for Cheney down there, number 98, Darrell Wilkins. Get this, 5'11", 285 pounds. No wonder I couldn't see him over some of his fellow defenders out there, out of Pemberton in New Jersey and Philadelphia, where he grew up, going across the river there to play high school ball at Pemberton High.
And I'm interested to see what California does here. They have two, the split wide receiver set. It's Slappy and Force. There's the safety help, but see if California tries to suck them up into run defense.
Blast play to the left side of the line of scrimmage. Once again, Lombardi, not too much room to work with, and he loves to find those extra lanes and cut back, but when Cheney converges like that and they stuff the middle with those linebackers, take those lanes away, you really make Lombardi a one-dimensional runner, and that's just to resort back to his power, Steph.
Yeah, and something else, the wind has died down very much in this second quarter. I'm very surprised that Joe Ruggiero hasn't tried passing down the field a little bit, even if it's just try to work out the kink that you had right now with Nate Forrest.
And Joe, she makes a good point right there. It's been a lot of running, a lot of one-way for California. This might be a good time to pull out a play fake, huh?
Yeah, and it very well could be, especially bringing in the fullback Johnson. It just makes it that much more deceptive when you're going to line up a fullback and a tight end.
And instead, they are going to hand it off anyway. Looks like Lombardi is going to move straight forward and get enough yardage for the first down. Again, a little bit more chippiness on the field, as you like to say, Joe, between Joe Slappy and 38, Richard Kirkland. He was involved in some of that on the kickoff. And again, him and Slappy exchange a few words there after that play.
It's going to be there the rest of the day. Joe Slappy, a guy, not only wide receiver, he's a very good blocking wide receiver in the run game. I think we have a clock issue. Yeah, the play clock never started.
And the game clock, in case you're wondering, is at 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Not moving as quickly as you may think, especially with all the running that's been going on early on in this one. Despite that, California looks like they have picked up a first down. It certainly doesn't seem to be any sort of issue outside of official here.
A chain issue on the far side of the field, right on the California sidelines. We actually saw that a couple years ago. The chains broke in a game that we covered. That was one of the more interesting things I had seen. Our good friend Ron Seeley, one of the buildings people up at Adamson Stadium back home for California, had a spare set of chains in the back. But for California, 3 straight runs and a first down. I wouldn't be surprised if they run it again here on first down. I think second down you really see them try to open something up in the pass game. It's going to be run, run, run. Suck up the safety Cooper, and then try to find the single coverage up top.
And looks like the officials still haven't gotten this one completely together. They're working out something on the sidelines here. Maybe one of the things California needs to think about now is, you don't need to air it out. You do need to get this clock moving, and you want to keep chipping away at the Cheney defense.
And here's the thing, with this little bit of extended break here, and you can see the Cheney defense. For the Cal offense, you now see how Cheney lined up against you. Joe Ruggiero, I do believe, has the full ability to audible this play right at the line based on what he just saw in the defense.
That is a bad move on Cheney staying in that defense the whole time.
And they do play fake this time, and Ruggiero is going to go down the field. Slappy was underthrown. Once again, Ruggiero doesn't quite put enough on it. Good breakup right there in coverage by Richard Kirkland. He's been involved in a lot of plays in this game, and he's getting himself fired up, and that's only going to add to the fire for the Wolves. And you know what? It didn't really make them pay, Joe. They ran the play fake despite seeing Cheney's defense, and they were able to stick with it. Ruggiero needs to put some more air under that football.
Well, he's coming back into the wind, but California, they're going to pick up 15 yards here regardless, as Joe Ruggiero got popped after he let that ball go a little bit late. So there's going to be a roughing the passer call against Cheney. And I'll tell you what, Joe Slappy just turns around and finds that ball in the air. He's still going to come away with it. A little underthrown, the wind a factor, but hit the defensive back right off the noggin. So way to use his head there to break up the play.
And Cheney's fans are finally starting to get into this game a little bit. Yeah, it was a quick start for California going down the field, but now that they had that break, they're getting the crowd into it. They were into it on that play. When they stopped it, you heard the crowd come alive, but now they're trying to get back into it after that little bit of a penalty.
You have to find something to get excited about when you have a team that is going to pick up a lot of wins for you this season. Every little bit counts to get behind your team and rally behind them for the future. Quick out complete to Perry Ivory. That good for 5 yards, and Cheney's going to be happy with that all day. If that's what California's going to keep running, that's fine. They just want to minimize all the big plays and try to look respectable out there on defense.
Yeah, Corey Garver there, you can see in that route there. Corey Garver releases the tight end. We saw him catch a touchdown pass last week. He caught a second pass that he got down inside the 5. And Garver, a guy that he could release downfield, not just these little short out routes. He has the ability to go deep down the middle and run that seam route.
Especially when you get one-on-one with a safety. That's a favorable matchup for the Vulcans. Play fake once again. Ruggiero going to take another shot at Kirkland. This time Moye in the right position as Ruggiero underthrows again. Moye stops in his tracks and tries to go for it, but Kirkland gets a hand in on Moye and breaks up another pass. He's doing a good job in pass coverage right now, Steph.
Oh yeah, a great job, and something more than you would expect from Cheney. Their defense isn't that bad. They just need to be in the right place at the right time. Kirkland's been there. It's been a very good job, and Joe Ruggiero just does not seem on today. He needs to maybe sit out a couple times and let somebody else pass it.
Good point you make there, Steph. Tyree Cooper, we haven't heard much from today, led this Cheney defense last season to first in the PSAC in pass defense. As Ruggiero drops back on another one and throws it in the vicinity of Joe Slappy, who was not watching. That one trickles out of bounds and incomplete. 4th down and 6 now. And the Cheney pass defense is not bad amongst other teams in the PSAC, Joe.
No, that route right there was just a misrun by Joe Slappy. It was supposed to be a little 10-yard stop and come back to it. And really, it was the same route that Tremaine Moye ran on the previous play, just a little bit, just not quite as deep as that. One that Moye had go off his hands was designed that he was supposed to stop and come back to it.
Moore gets a strong leg under this one. Doesn't get too much with the wind in his face, however. And
Cheney touched that ball.
Yeah, I think Cheney touched it too. This may be California football, and it is. Big mental error right there, and the coaching staff on the sideline for Cheney is extremely upset with that. Cheney.
We'll take a look at it. I'm not so sure that California just didn't happen to accidentally bump into Eric Frazier and knock him into the ball. It's a little tough look there. It's kind of deep. And they're going to talk about this to figure out what's going on. And if they hit California first, it's down. Joe Okafor on the near side booted over the bench, and Frazier comes out of the game. He's catching an earful from the coaching staff. Now, is the Cheney offense going to take the field?
They're calling it on Cheney. They're giving the ball to Cheney, it looks like.
I say California touched that ball, so it was down.
That's a good call right there, because it seemed that California just kind of swarmed that ball all of a sudden and touch it and say that they have it. The referees bought it that a Cheney punt returner did touch the ball, and they come in, and good thing they talk this one over and get things right, and Cheney will get another shot at bringing the offense onto the field, Joe. But again, even after that play, which isn't even going to count, frustration's running high on the Cheney side.
Well, here's the thing. That never should have happened in the first place, for the fact that J.C. Moore, standing at the 40-yard line, you might as well just unload and boot one instead of trying to try and punch a little kick end over end. The wind, it's there, but it's not going to hurt you. Getting one high into the wind, all that means is your coverage team's going to get downfield, and Cheney's going to have to make a fair catch.
Pitch goes back to Phillips. He loses the football. Griffin is running it down. Frazier looked like he fell on it, but somehow Kirby comes up with this football. Don't ask me how. Frazier was definitely the first one to the ground there, but Kirby Griffin picks up the fumble for California, and the Cheney defense is going to have to go back onto the field with a very short field to work with.
And Darren Burns strips that ball by nothing more than just trying to wrap up the back and make the tackle. And then Kirby Griffin, how he comes away with that, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. Eric Frazier took an earful coming to the sidelines after that punt return, and after not coming away and just falling on the ball there. It's not his fault it's on the ground in the first place, but somebody's got to catch it for the frustrations here. It's going to be a 1st and goal for California.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but is that 3 or 4 now? I think it's 4 fumbles for Cheney in this game, and it's easier said than done, but you have to hold on to the football. It seems like some of these balls are popping out there without a lot of contact. Brandon Lombardi goes off tackle on the left side of the field here. Looks like they may get California for a hold and bring this run back. Again, the defenders for Cheney doing a good job of converging on Brandon Lombardi. It is a hold, and some yardage will be marked off for California here. But who's at fault here today? But Cheney, they're not playing too terrible. It's just the mental mistakes and some penalties, getting frustrated and then fumbling the football. They could be able to keep some of these games closer if they kept their heads about them.
California started 4 possessions inside Cheney territory now. We still have 10:43 left here in the second quarter, but for California, this offensive line has got to get their act together. They've had 2 false starts, a hold now against a defense that gave up 80 points last week. You should have no reason to clutch and grab and hold on to a defensive lineman or a linebacker against a defense that gave up 80 points.
Yeah.
If you look back into the East Stroudsburg game, the first game of the season, that's what this offensive team is looking like right now. Even though they were only leading 6-3, I believe, at halftime during that. It's 17-0, yeah, but you need to stay together. You have to play this way the whole season, no matter who your opponent is.
And Steph, like you said, coming into a team's home opener, they're a little bit more fired up, and even more so after that big loss last week. You don't want to get embarrassed in front of your home crowd for the first time in the season. Ruggiero dropping back, quick slant compete to Jermaine Moye. That was a beautiful pass play by California. Moye runs a picture-perfect route. Ruggiero delivers a rocket in there to Moye, and he is going to go across the goal line for the California score. 23-0 now with 10.5 minutes still to play in the second quarter.
It was just a perfect play put together by Joe Ruggiero. It seems like they got connected a little bit. That fumble return just kind of put everybody back into a swing of things.
That's Jermaine Moye's first career receiving touchdown as a Vulcan after making the switch from safety to wide receiver this year.
Extra point is away, and Lorenz connects again. Perfect so far in the day. Vulcans up 24-0 from Cheney University. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Progress Synthetic Turf Solutions has the perfect playing surface for your game. From design and manufacture to installation and implementation, Progress gets the job done right. And Progress stands behind each and every installation with the industry's best guarantee. From football and baseball to soccer and lacrosse, there's a Progress surface perfect for your application. Progress is great for anybody's game.
This fall, Vulcan football is back.
And just get it off, play action, going for the corner of the end zone, 6.
Host Tom Burns and head football coach John Lockhart recap all the action, all the stories, and everything Vulcans football as the Vulcans march towards the PSAC championship.
102-yard 6 for the Vulcans. What a way to kick off homecoming.
It's Vulcan Football 2007, this fall on CUTV.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports coverage of Vulcan football. California leading 24-0 over the Cheney Wolves with 10.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. This kickoff that you see is not going to count. They're going to redo it.
The ball fell off the tee.
And the wind in games like this, that can be an issue, Joe. You see that plenty of times. You're watching football on TV. It starts to fall just before the play. That makes it live, and the officials, of course, are going to force them to redo that one. But, Steph, you said it during the commercial break. We were talking how out of sync Cheney got after that turnover and then made that pass play look that easy for California. Something they struggled with a little bit in this game, that's throwing the ball. But that 1-2 connection there between Ruggiero and Moye was a thing of beauty, and it may just have been because of that Cheney fumble.
Yeah, and that may even pump up, you can't pump up Cal's defense anymore. They're playing a great game, but you'd think watching the defense for Cal that the offense might get a little pumped up, but it seems something isn't right there right now. They're scoring points, but they need to connect a little better if they want to get back on the ball that they were last week.
And this one is going to be picked up and returned towards the near sideline. Getting near midfield is Eddie Dordiz, 6'3", 225-pound defensive end, getting probably one of the first kickoff returns of his career out of Gordon Tech in Chicago, Illinois. And the Cheney Wolves offense will come back onto the field, and you got to go to the air, right, Joe? I mean, not just because you're behind, but because that's what's been working best.
No, first down here, you got nothing to lose at this point. And if you're Bo Thompson, I think you just drop back and you just let
Dominic Curry.
Oh yeah, you let Dominic Curry go down the sideline. You just let one go. You let it fly.
Yeah, why not? I mean, come on, try something different. Take a chance. These California defensive backs are good, but they're not prone to the occasional mistake. You might be able to catch one of them napping. Curry and Frazier certainly has the speed, as does Charles Johnson. Let's see what happens, and this is going to be a single back formation for the Wolves under center here. And he's going to fake the handoff. He will pass. Looks like he's going to have a little bit of time. That one nearly intercepted. Gary Butler lays a monster hit on Thompson in the backfield. Butler coming off a PSCC Defensive Player of the Week honors. 10 tackles and 4 sacks on the season. Last week, of course, he forced 2 fumbles and recovered both of them. Right idea there for Cheney, Joe. Thompson dropping back, just ran out of time.
Yeah, and Cal's defense is looking like they're geniuses, knowing that they can pick the play off, but they're just running the same play. Commend them for a fake handoff, but you still got all the way in there to hit the quarterback, and the pass almost got intercepted.
Again, he'll drop back to pass. This time he will take a shot. Thompson floats ones for Curry. No, I'm not going to blame Thompson there. Did the wind ever get behind that one? That one stayed up there forever, and that was out of reach of by at least 10 yards of a defender, receiver, even the fans. No one was getting to that one.
Well, and I like the idea Cheney came out here. They're just going to chuck it downfield 2 straight plays. You know, on first down when Gary Butler got in there, that was the play they wanted to run. That's the play I thought they should have ran. And the only reason Brian Moore didn't pick it off, I just don't think he was expecting that ball to come his way, sitting down in that zone area in the middle of the field. But, you know, let's put it this way. Cheney, a great play call. California, counterpoint, great defensive call to bring Gary Butler in off the end to get the pressure so that Thompson doesn't have the time to make that throw downfield. And right there, it was Willie Walker up the middle that disrupted that play that forced Thompson to unload the ball. About a second before he wanted to.
Snap to Thompson again, rolling right, gets this one away quickly. Frazier has some room to work with, puts his head down and gets the first down. And there's another flag on the play. Willie Walker's on the ground. The Wolves are arguing with him, a little bit of shoving. Gary Butler comes in to break it up. And a great play by Cheney. Who knows which way this one's going, but they may have negated it with another mental error.
And not only a first down, you had your crowd into it for a little bit. And as soon as they saw the flag, it's like, you know, it seems like the same old song and dance every week that these fans have seen. And even though this is the home opener, this is probably exactly what they saw last year.
Well, here's the thing. It's a dead ball foul, so the first down's going to stand. They picked up the yardage for the first down, then the dead ball, so they'll back it up. It's just going to be 1st and 10 from 5 yards short of where the previous ball was.
And you know what? There's 2 ways to look at this, and I'm often very critical up here of unsportsmanlike play and everything like that, but But Gary Butler's staying there on that front line for California, and you know what he's doing? He's following the game plan. He's continuing to taunt them from the huddle and get in Cheney's heads, because the more he's in their heads, the less success they're going to have on this drive. And I don't know. It's hard to call it unsportsmanlike when it's this easy to get under the skin of a team.
You're absolutely right, Josh.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using it to their advantage.
That's what it is. This is nothing different than that happens week in, week out, every game. These guys trash talk each other on the field.
And Cheney just can't handle it.
And Cheney,
they're going to take a timeout.
Instead of reacting like California does by hitting you in the mouth with a run or a deep pass, Cheney's responding by hitting you after the play.
And in a way, you feel for these guys because it's a tough season, and you understand why they're so frustrated. This is, they're not near the top, and while we take a look at the Africa poll, and we'll get back to that in a minute.
Yeah, the D2 poll, you can see the top 10 really don't change that much. Shepherd in number 8 spot, that's from the WIVAC, but you see California moving up to number 15 ahead of Bloomsburg, who's 20 now after that loss to California. And then the bottom part of the D2 poll, you see other Northeast region teams, including Westchester, who is a PSAC team, who we will see later on towards the end of this season.
And that loss to Delaware hurt them a little bit, huh, Joe?
Well, it hurt in terms of the scoreboard and the rankings, but it hurt them more in terms of their player personnel. They had a couple of guys go down in that game. They lost their backup quarterback for the season, which is big because if their quarterback, Swan, goes down, you're relying on a freshman, either a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. I cannot remember what situation is there with their third-string quarterback. And don't think that California, when they come into Westchester here in about a month and a half, that they're not going to go after Swan like they have basically every other quarterback this season. They've gotten pressure, and they've been successful in doing so.
And you know what, to go back to the point we were making earlier against Cheney about how hard it is, I don't know. I went to a high school that was traditionally successful. I'm going to a college now that has been successful the last couple of years. I don't know if either of you guys have ever experienced that. What's it like for a team? It hurts when you're losing this badly, and that's why it's so easy to get frustrated on the field, right, Steph?
Yeah, well, I come from a high school that historically is not very good, and we play a Thanksgiving Day game every year where we lose every year, but you still go out and you try your hardest, and I think that's what Cheney's trying to do. They're just trying to put a good show on for their fans.
Bo Thompson, deep pass towards the sideline. It was in the right direction, just a little bit too much lob. Curry doesn't quite have the vertical leap to get up and grab that one. It was about 3 feet over his head and out of bounds, but the right idea, taking a shot back down the field towards your best wideout. It was really only single coverage as the safety creeped over towards the end of the play. We're just now under 10 minutes of play in the second quarter with a lot of penalties, a lot of fumbles, lots of turnovers, incomplete passes and whatnot. Cheney continues to work the ball here at 2nd down and 10. This passing game, they may be able to move it a little bit more, Joe.
Yeah, and look for if you're Cheney, you take the shots downfield, and there's a little more behind them, just not being able to get focused. That I'll talk about after this play. We'll talk about it right now. There's really no gain there, but this Cheney team, they have nothing to play for this season for the fact that they are postseason ineligible.
Yeah.
For number one, not that I don't know they would be in that situation anyways, but they have no shot of moving on in the postseason. They have NCAA sanctions against them due to the past couple of years. They used some players that were ineligible in the NCAA standards, so they had to forfeit their 3 wins from the past 2 seasons. So technically this team hasn't won a game in 3 years, although they have won a few games. It's just tough to come out and play when there's nothing there.
Thompson, quick strike over the middle, bounces in and out of the hands. Number 28, Billy Mitchell, senior running back out of Naaman Forest High School in Dallas, Texas. He had a linebacker behind him, but certainly could have hauled that one and didn't look like he was really going to get drilled, more or less just wrapped up and brought down. And now the Cheney Wolves are going to have to walk off the field with their heads hanging again after failing to convert on a 3rd down.
And this wouldn't, I see the Cheney coaches on the sideline getting very upset after the plays, and that wouldn't help me as a player want to do better. If my coach is getting that upset, maybe sit down and say, hey, maybe be over here next time. You can't, they're going to distract them more from wanting to do better.
Punt is away. Moye will field it. He'll have some returning space, goes towards the far sideline. Big block and a big hit. Looks like Moye went down pretty hard. That time he was gathered in by 39 for the Wolves. Bobby Hogan, brother, 5'10", 175-pound freshman defensive back out of Freeport, New York, and the guy you credit the most out of this, Joe, you just talked about the coaching staff. Yeah, they're getting really frustrated with these players, and that's what they need is some guidance. And the guy I give the most credit is Tim Newsom. He still has a job at this university because he's really trying to make these kids believe that they can go out there and have a chance to win in football games. He's a good motivator and maybe not the best strategy, and it's tough to rally a program like this that really doesn't have a lot to work for.
Well, it is, and it starts from the coach down. Really, it starts from the president to the athletic director down, and they believe in Tim Newsom. And now he just needs to find a couple of players that are going to buy into what he's trying to do.
Quick pattern, hook out to the sideline, completed the Perry Ivory. Nice strike by Ruggiero. Seemed to be in tune with his wide out there. That good for a Vulcan first down. Under 9 minutes to play now, and as that pass goes out of bounds, we stop it at 8:48 as the Vulcans lead 24-0. And it's the underneath stuff that California's been successful with today, Steph, but downfield they really had no shot. These quick hooks and quick outs are working all day.
And it seems like every time Cal gets inside, they know what they're doing. They know that they have a plan, and they go in, and that they're going to either run, or if the run isn't going to work, they're going to pass. And if the pass doesn't work, well, they're going to go back to the run.
Ruggiero flat pattern, complete to Force. This time he hits him right in the bread basket. Force is tripped up out of bounds at about the 46-yard line, picks up 1 yard on the completion from Ruggiero. Finally, those two in sync, and it's those short patterns that they've really been out of tune on, Joe. Those are the ones that should be easier.
Yeah, they have, and that little wide receiver screen, California, they ran that play religiously about 3-4 years ago. They got away from it, and now they're going back to it. But it's a play that sets up the rest of your offense. You know, head coach John Lockhart, coordinators Mike Keller, Mike Conway, everything they do is with a purpose. Every play they run, every defensive call they make has a purpose. It's going to set something up along later in the game.
Ruggiero, slight play flake, again takes a look down the field. Beautiful catch by Jermaine Moye. He absorbs the contact and hauls it in anyway. I never have seen somebody take a hit like that and be fully extended and falling down and still maintain possession. Just watch it and let it soak in.
Moye just goes up, gets it. That's going to be picked the other way, I think. And then number 24, Joe Morris, lays a logger blow on Jermaine Moye going over the middle of the field.
Yeah, he might need a massage tomorrow morning.
Whew, let that one soak in. That was a catch that you will see over and over again in Vulcan highlight reels. Handoff Lombardi up the middle, and he'll move the pile about 5 yards, setting up a second down and maybe 4 or 5 to go. 7:50 to play here. California charging towards maybe the end zone yet again. And Joe, I think you and I talked about it last commercial break. Let's say they do get to 30, 31 points here. California hasn't looked good or bad today. I won't say that, but I mean, certainly they're not putting everything into this one, and they're up by this big of a margin.
No, they don't look how they did a week ago, and I think the situation you're going to see is these starters are going to stay in the game until Coach Lockhart's happy with what he sees on the field. And at this point, I think it's going to be the remainder of the first half. As the offense, you can see the line starting to take over. They've had some mistakes that they want to eliminate.
Ruggiero quick out, complete to Ivory. Ivory met immediately by Joe Okafor on the tackle there, wraps Ivory up and pulls him down. They still get about 3 or 4 yards on the play. That's going to shut up a 3rd down and 1 to go. Got to imagine no matter what here, Sean Johnson comes into the game. This one's going to be nothing pretty. They're just going to put it right up the middle of Lombardi and try to get this first down.
And Brandon Lombardi caught one of the defensive players coming in right on his side. He picked it up so Joe Ruggiero could get that pass off and get it completed for a little bit of even a couple of yards. Credit Brandon Lombardi for that a little bit too.
Under 7 minutes to play now, 6:35. Johnson, the lead blocker in the I formation. I can't get these words out today. Snap is away. Lombardi gets it up the middle. He's going to go over the line of scrimmage and across the markers for the first down. Coming at the end of the play there was Joe Morris to stop the forward progress of Lombardi. But it's going to be a California first down, and going back to the air to try to put this one in the end zone, and they're going to try to run as much time out in the second quarter as possible en route to what will be their 4th touchdown of the day.
I really think the defense is going to dictate what the offense does here. If Cheney's going to sit back and allow California the opportunity to run it, they're going to keep it on the ground. If Cheney tries to stuff the run, California will go to the air. And I think he might go to the air here. They got single coverage to the outsides, and the safety is not all that deep.
Nate Force on the near side. Garver The tight end on the far side of the field. Quick look over the middle towards Garver. That one nearly intercepted. That pass was defensed by number 32, Brandon Hawkins. The linebacker stays on Garver there, and I think that was the case of Cheney doing their homework, Joe, knowing that they like to use Garver in the red zone.
It's the short routes here. California, they'll cut the route off short of the goal line, knowing that their wide receivers are big enough, athletic enough, that they can spin out of a single tackle. If there's an arm tackle, they're going to break it and find their way to the end zone.
I think that was a bad play by California. You could have ran that up the middle better than where you tried to pass that to.
Strong I formation for California. Handoff goes to Lombardi, off tackle, left side of the field. Couple of Cheney defenders in to make that play right there. One of them, number 68, Darrell Watson, 6'2", 320-pound defensive lineman out of West Philadelphia High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Good play right there to wrap up the big, powerful back Lombardi and bring up a 3rd down and 6.
For California, they can still pick up the first down. They need to get down to about the 4-yard line. They're going to drop back to the gun.
This is a type of play where a quick strike type of pass might be good. If you can get Moye over the middle here, you have force in the slot, send him towards the sideline, and in single coverage with his size, that should be a favorable matchup. Ruggiero takes the snap, not looking towards the right side of the field at all, goes left towards Slappy. I think that's the only person he looked at that whole play, and it wasn't the best option as he was blanketed by number 32, Brandon Hawkins, linebacker on receiver. Evidently, that's why he wanted that, because he had a favorable matchup. Slappy cannot come down with it, and Lorenz will come on for the field goal now. Good defensive stand by Cheney in the red zone, Joe.
And here's something you don't want to see if you're Coach Lockhart. You had John Testa and Matt Meck standing 2 yards deep in the backfield looking at each other saying, that was your guy. No, that was your guy. And the reason that Ruggiero had to unload that ball so quickly, don't be surprised if you see all 5 of these offensive linemen play a full 60 minutes today.
Low snap, brought in, and Lorenz sends it up towards the uprights. That one goes through. Lorenz having a good bounce back day, kicking the ball. 27-0 is your Vulcan lead. We still have 5 minutes to play in the second quarter. Stay with us. More Vulcan football right here on CUTV.
For everything high school football, CUTV's got you covered. All the scores, all the highlights, analysis from our CUTV staff and the Valley Independent's Brian Herman.
And York is coming through in the Class AA Interstate Conference, and the Keystone Conference is as bad as usual.
High school football is back. It's High School Football Roundup this fall on CUTV.
Introducing Points from National City, the best banking rewards program. It gives you points for paying bills online, using your check card, or even writing checks. Everyday things, so the points really pile up fast. Then you redeem them for lots of things you'll find rewarding. Points from National City. Sign up today. It's free.
2 to play in the first half here. Vulcans lead 27-0 on the heels of a Tyler Lorenz field goal, Joe.
Oh, that Lorenz field goal there moved him into sole possession, 3rd place in the all-time career kicking list for California. And also with that field goal gave him 9 points for the day, 100 for his career.
Congratulations.
Number 34, Norman Belton, the fullback on the return there. Again, the squib by California. What's the reasoning behind this, Joe? I mean, Frazier didn't have too much success early on in this one. Why isn't California putting this one away deep?
They're going back into the wind, and Lorenz, really a high ball kicker off the tee. So for him to really kick one up and put it up there, you know, Cheney's going to be fielding that ball around the 15, 20-yard line, and with some blockers ahead of them, they're going to return it up over the 30, 35, and they can get ahead of steam. There's a couple missed tackles. Next thing you know, Cheney breaks one, and Frazier's gone. So the safe play is to just squib it down there, let them take it somewhere between the 30 and the 40-yard line, and let your defense do the work.
And this Cheney offense comes back on the field. They have some positives to build from earlier in this game. They've had some success moving the football, and with a veteran offensive line, if they can keep Thompson protected, they should be able to continue to throw it. That one badly thrown behind his intended receiver, number 10, Eric Frazier. Terrence Johnson nearly coming away with the interception. That sets up a 2nd down and 10, but I just mentioned the veteran offensive line for Cheney here. They've got some big guys on the field. They send 3 seniors on the middle of the field between the left guard, the center, and the right guard. That's Buck, Tucker, and Watson. Watson, a second-team All-PSAC player. It's containing those blitzes coming from the outside linebackers for California that provides the real task for the Cheney offensive line. Thompson again in the shotgun, dropping back to pass. Little quick hook pattern, that one complete to Curry. He muscles away 2 California defenders and keeps possession of the ball, setting up a 3rd down and 7. Good catch by the standout wide receiver, Steph.
And that's what he has to do. He has to try to fight off the California defenders, show them that he's not going to go down without a fight, trying to get those extra yards.
4.5 minutes to play. Cheney not had the best luck converting on 3rd downs today, and when they do, sometimes there's a penalty or whatnot. They get frustrated on the field, and it gets called right back. 2 wide receivers on the near side of the field. Thompson going to be in the shotgun once again. No, he's not. He's going to go up under center, single back formation now. Snaps and drops, quick drop. Pass out to Curry on the sideline. Got to use the stiff arm to get away from Johnson. Fights for the 1st down. Not sure if he stepped out of bounds or not. Looks like he got enough for the 1st down, and Cheney converts up around midfield off the catch from Curry. Now their big receiver is starting to get involved in this offense.
And that's just poor coverage by California. That is a short route all the way back across the field. A route to California. They need to step up, get hands in the passing lane, knock the ball down, don't even worry about it, don't let it get to Curry. That's one that if you step up on, California could have taken 6 back the other way.
Thompson dropping back to pass, looking right. California line jumps. This one is complete, though, over the middle. A great pass to Darrell Jones. 6'3", 195-pound senior wideout from Largo, Maryland into Martha High School. Nice crossing route, and Thompson delivers a tough one through the zone coverage of the California linebackers.
And that catch in the area where traditionally Jermaine Moye would be, and with the new safeties in there, and Nate Payne and Juan Butler, I'm still not convinced that Moye's going to stay completely on offense the rest of the season. If you get late into the season, I still think there's a chance, if there's still some suspect play back there, I still think you see Jermaine Moye move back to safety at the end of the season.
Yeah, and before that play, keep an eye on the receiving carousel for the Cheney Wolves. Curry moving into the slot after being matched up with Terrence Johnson as the wideout. That's a good matchup for Cheney as Curry stands at 6'3", about 215 pounds. Johnson only 6 foot, 190, so a size matchup for sure. Anytime they can get Curry on a smaller guy, that's a player's whose direction they're going to look. Thompson looks like he's getting an audible from the sideline now, calls it out, and takes the snap. Quick screen to Curry in the slot, and Moore's going to chase him down and wrap him up. Johnson hating there in the trip up, and Curry will pick up about 4 yards, setting up a 3rd down and 6 with 3:20 to play in the first half. Vulcans up 27 to the blank of the Cheney Wolves.
And Cheney's doing a good job moving the ball down the field now. And how are they doing that? They're going back to the pass game, something we said earlier in the game that they needed to go to.
Running the ball against California is pretty much not an option for this Cheney team. They just don't have any back big enough or quick enough to break that speed for California.
Good play call right there, faking the draw play to Billy Mitchell, and then Thompson keeps it himself. Just ran out of space. Looked like he had room to work with, but that one was completely converged upon by the California defenders. As you take a look at the replay right here, Steph, good job by California for staying alert on that play.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him run at all yet today this game, and he has some good wheels on him. Just move a little quicker and move it towards a hole instead of moving side to side. California will get you every time.
Oh, and that was Swearinger, the redshirt freshman from Waldorf, Maryland, out there on the covers. There's that team speed from California again. That defensive line, they stretch the field, they stretch the field, they stretch the field. Thompson has no option to cut back upfield, and the next thing you know, you're out at the corner on the sidelines with nowhere to go.
So Billy Mitchell, who is the receiving halfback on that 3rd down play, is also the punter for this Wolves team. That snap is blown dead, and it looks like Cheney has costed themselves 5 yards here. And a little bit of a false start there on the punt.
Delay game.
Excuse me, delay game. 5 yards is 5 yards one way or the other, but this actually might give Mitchell a little bit more room to work with.
Cheney's had a couple of close calls to delay of game all day. They have to watch that out.
Jermaine Moye not back to return. I believe that's 20, Trey Allen.
That's an interesting substitution. Perhaps some of the abuse Moye's taken in this game. Good high kick by Mitchell there to get it over the block. Attempt. Allen drops it. There you go. You put a new returner back there, a little bit of butterflies, and Allen nearly lost that one to the Wolves. But California's offense will come back onto the field with 2 minutes to play. Vulcans up 27-zip. 2-minute drill after this on CUTV.
I'll be ready to go in a minute.
Take your time. A vacuum. You like that, don't you? All right. Thirsty now, ain't you? Little Pepsi. Oh, man. Your vacuum cleaner ate my pants. There's nothing I could do.
Nothing chases chips like a Pepsi. It's the cola.
Blade Runners is putting a whole new spin on birthday parties. Blade Runners in Bethel Park is Pittsburgh's one and only ice arena that features bumper cars on ice. Your kids will scream and shout when they slip and slide across the ice. And Blade Runners offers group, organization, and corporate discounts. Call Bethel Park Blade Runners at 412-833-8500 to learn more, or visit us on the web at bladerunnersice.com and book your birthday bash now.
For an inside.
California faced with a 3rd down and 3 after 2 Brandon Lombardi runs. 55 seconds to play here in the first half. Again, they're going to hand it off. This one to Freddie Bacco, and he goes up the middle of the field, very near the first down markers. Not sure if he's going to pick it up. California appears to be content to just run the clock out here in the end of this first half, Joe.
Let's see, they picked up the first down. They bought themselves a little bit of space. Now the clock stops for the Chains. Now California's going to take a timeout. And I wouldn't be surprised. They might take a shot here first, second down. If you can pick up a big chunk of yardage, you try to score one more time before half. And maybe a good situation for California just to try to run the hurry-up offense, see how effective you are in case you do need it later on in the season. At this point with a 27-point lead, 50 seconds left in the first half, you almost turn this game over into a situational practice, almost as if it were a scrimmage that counts against your record.
And it's so, you hate saying that, Joe, but that's almost like this is for California today. Is nothing's a guarantee, but this is one time, and since I've been here at California, the most comfortable I've ever been coming in to a game and saying that California is going to win the football game. I absolutely gave Cheney no chance in this one, and California certainly has proved that right, and they're just treating this as a way to test out some new schemes out there, run some new plays, just to be ready for situational play as the season progresses on and they meet some tougher opponents later on this year.
Dominic Curry was a part of the upset in basketball in the PSAC semifinals back in, I guess it was March, late February, early March. Unfortunately, he's not going to see an upset here today.
It's kind of like a little bit of a rematch if you do it, because I do believe most of the basketball team is on the football team here for Cheney.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the rosters, guys, California seems to have about, we'll say Cheney has about 2/3 the size roster of what California has. A lot of those guys redshirted for California. Cheney not having that luxury, losing some of their scholarships. 2-back set out of the shotgun. Ruggiero takes the snap. He will pass, drops back, has some time, throws into the flat. Bacco can't reel it in. Clock will remain stopped now. 45 seconds to play in the first half. Vulcans up by a couple of touchdowns.
And you can't blame Freddie Bacco for that one, because Joe Ruggiero did laser that one in, even though it was a little out route.
And it was on Bacco's wrong shoulder. He had to turn back upfield after making the catch. It was thrown on his back shoulder, got turned around.
And you hate not knowing what's on the other side of you there. Again, shotgun formation. Cheney backing off the blitz just a little bit. They'll only rush 4. Handoff goes up the middle to Bacco. Has a lane. Works with it and is tripped up right around the marker. Has enough for the first down. Under 40 seconds to play now. California, see, they're going to try to hurry something up here and get the line of scrimmage, or it's going to be Cheney, who appears to have called a timeout. The other way around, California has called a timeout. So they are trying to score here, I guess, Joe.
California's second timeout that they burned here. I believe it's their second. They should have one remaining. And now with the ball out near midfield, you can take a couple of shots, take your chance, and see how it turns out. We have a chance. Maybe take a look at the coaches poll, because there's a big shakeup after last week's win against Bloomsburg.
And a deserving one at that.
And we're gonna take a break, and we'll wait on that coaches poll. Keep you in suspense until the second half. All I can tell you, I'll allude to it, is California stayed. Well, they moved up. They're tied at 15 in both polls, the D2 poll and the AFCA poll. They're at 15 in both. But Bloomsburg took a big hit. We'll talk about that. But California, Steph, and I'm sure you might feel the same way. Maybe you don't. I think they have to try and score here.
Not only that, again, going back to it earlier, IUP scored 80.
Mm-hmm.
You faced IUP earlier in the season. You're trying, if you shut out Cheney, they let them score 14 points. This is something going into halftime. You're going to say, hey, look, yeah, we're maybe up only 27 now, but we didn't let them score.
And Cal's really under the radar now. This is their highest ranking in school history. Many people saying this could be one of the better teams in PSAC history. California needs to win these games big to live up to the accolades that they're getting. Shotgun formation, Ruggiero dropping back. Looks like he wanted to go deep, but he'll dump it off to Bacco. Bacco's got to head towards the sideline. Stiff arm there and gets a guy down. And out of bounds goes Bacco at the 35-yard line, stopping the clock with 30 seconds to play. Bacco stiff arm catching the ire of some of the fans in the stands here at Cheney, and I'm not sure I was watching Bacco if anything happened behind the play there.
Freddie Bacco is he's a powerhouse too. You don't realize it until you see him run like that.
Well, and the fans got on their feet because Tyree Cooper took a lick from Jermaine Moye on the near side. Really just coming back to the play to block for his back that was checked down. Jermaine Moye laid Tyree Cooper out. At first he was kind of laying face first in the grass. I didn't think he was going to get up from that, but he did. And I'm glad to see he's up as, Cooper, a guy that's kind of experienced it all through here at Cheney.
Bobbled snap by Ruggiero, but he collects it in. That ball is tipped, intended for Joe Ruggiero. Eddie Dordiz, the defensive end, able to knock that one out of bounds and force a second down for the Vulcans. Steph, going back to you said you talk about center of gravity. Bacco, 5'11", 220 pounds, out of Baldwin High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I mean, he really does. You feel it when Bacco runs into you. It's not just Lombardi as the only power back here in this Vulcan lineup.
He's very built and very sturdy. He's a sturdy back you can have in the backup for Brandon Lombardi, who's also, they're built very much the same. And it seems like they like to have that type of running back in right now with the offense they're running.
Two-back set once again. Ruggiero takes a high snap, rolls up towards the front of the line of scrimmage there. Slappy gets a crossing route over the middle. He was fairly wide open, and with 15 seconds now, California's going to have to hurry up and spike this one as Joe, I'm not sure they might be out of timeouts.
Apparently that's a no.
No. And it would be their last one right there. California goes with their last charge timeout. 17 seconds to play. And California the first down there on the nice crossing pattern by Joe Slappy. Those two developing a pretty good chemistry today, Ruggiero and Slappy.
Yeah, Slappy guy only had 6 catches coming into this game. Now has, I believe, 4. So we'll take a look at the AFCA poll now. The suspense was killing you, I know, so we'll come back to it. Take a look at the top 10 here. In Grand Valley, the consensus number 1, Shepherd, out of the Northeast region there at 10. And, I'm still not convinced Shepherd's the top 10 team in the nation. They don't play really anybody on their schedule. They only beat Shippensburg by 5 in week 1. You see California in there at 15. The top PSAC team in the poll, and then the bottom 5. Bloomsburg falling all the way to 25 in the polls. They fell 13 spots. That is Michigan-esque as far as the the distance they fell in the polls. And I don't think Bloom should have fell 13 spots. And the only reason I can think they fell that far
They lost by that
is the
much.
fact that they lost by 18 points. They lost big to a team that was ranked not all that much lower than them, which is the surprising thing.
And Joe, here's a point you made last week, is that the coaches across the country don't see how these games were. And for the first 3 quarters of that game, it was very close.
Yes.
Cal only pulled away in the 4th quarter there when a lot of the backups were in for both sides. And it was a convincing win for California on the scoreboard, but in terms of gameplay, it really was a pretty well-played game and close all the way. Pass into the end zone right there, easily could have been an interference call, but with both players jostling for the ball, Joe Slappy and Richard Kirkland, nothing is going to be thrown right there. pass falls incomplete with 13 seconds to play. Second down and 10 to go to the first. Cal gets to about the 2-yard line. They'll have a first down situation, but they got to keep taking shots at the end zone here, stay on the sidelines if they're going to have a chance at any points, meaning a field goal.
Well, with 13 seconds left, you can basically treat this where you're at.
2 shots? Yeah.
You treat this as a goal situation. You completely forget about the first down marker, and you're going 2 shots to the end zone here. And if not, Lorenz is going to come on to attempt his third field goal to half.
Watch Force coming over the middle right there. His man's up tight on him, and the safety's going to have to cheat. And the safety intercepts it as they go for Force over the middle. Nice pick by Tyree Cooper. There's the lead defensive back for this Cheney defense, and they avoid a California touchdown at the end of the half with 8 seconds to play. Good pick by the D-back Cooper.
Here's the problem with this play, and it's been the problem Joe Rogero's had with that route all season long, as he throws it towards the feet of Nate Force. If he throws that ball eye level, Nate Force is walking into the end zone for a touchdown. Instead, that ball goes low. Cooper comes up on the play. The next thing you know, it's Cheney ball just inside the 5-yard line. But that's been a problem. I don't know if the coaching staff has recognized it or not for California, but that is a play that has caused them problems. Joe Slappy's gone over the middle, gone down and made the catch. Nate Force at 6'4" cannot get down to make that catch unless he is sliding into the ball, which he does not do on a very frequent basis. So for California on that play, you've got to get that ball up higher.
Cheney kneels it out, and Joe, again, California making us look good. You can tell we study our Vulcan games. Nate Force was the target there over the middle like we anticipated, but so did Tyree Cooper, and he comes up with the pick. Nonetheless, California leading 27-0 after 1 half of play. We'll be back with the second half of this California runaway after this break.
Your next business or group excursion, contact the family-owned and operated tour and transit company that's been serving our region for over 67 years. Edenfield Stages is committed to providing a safe and friendly travel experience for our guests. Our comfortable coaches and courteous skilled drivers can take you to any of today's popular destinations. Call for your free travel brochure and let us schedule a coach or help with planning your next event. Call Edenfield Stages at 1-800-245-8600.
Introducing Points from National City, the best banking rewards program. It gives you points for paying bills online, using your check card, or even writing checks. Everyday things, so the points really pile up fast. Then you redeem them for lots of things you'll find rewarding. Points from National City. Sign up today. It's free.
There's a university where success is more than a paper chase for a degree. One that builds the kind of character that can help you do the right thing as well as the smart thing. Where core values of integrity, civility, and responsibility are not just taught, but integrated into your day-to-day experience. California University of Pennsylvania.
This fall, one of Western Pennsylvania's greatest traditions returns for a 20th season on CUTV. Every week, CUTV brings you the best high school football action from all your favorite local teams.
Still on his feet, and he is going to be gone for the Norwood touchdown.
Welcome back to Cheney University on CUTV Sports. California Vulcans leading 27-0 over the Cheney Wolves. An impressive performance thus far, guys. And Steph and Joe, California really not throwing their best effort onto the field, but it's been successful either way you look at it.
Well, California, they've done fairly well, even though the score shows that they're doing better than they have been. Rushing yards, 103, 73 of those for Brandon Lombardi, 30 for Freddie Bacco. Joe Ruggiero, 167 yards passing with 1 interception and a touchdown. Jermaine Moye, we'll talk about him a little bit later, but Joe has some Cheney stats for us.
Yeah, Moye, that 1 touchdown with his 3 catches, but Cheney hasn't been such a good day for them. You see the negative 10-yard rushing total. There's a sack in there. Jesse Phillips, the running back, 6 carries, -2 yards. That's always tough. But Bo Thompson, the quarterback, not all that bad. 8 of 19, 62 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. And it's been Dominic Curry, the receiver, 4 catches for 19 yards. But it's been a receiver that's going to come away with the play of the half. Jermaine Moye. This is late in the second quarter. Moye just comes right down the right seam. You see him go back, get this one, take a shot, and the haul in held on to that ball. So for Jermaine Moye, he also had his first career receiving touchdown earlier in the half. A 20-yard strike from Joe Ruggiero, who, Steph, you mentioned his 11 of 23, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. His completion percentage very, very poor for Joe Ruggiero, a guy that's about a 60-65% career passer. He's under 50% for that half.
Yeah, but a lot of it was getting into a rhythm. Again, you're playing on grass, not on turf, something California hasn't done yet since they've played all 3 of their home games at home. And this Cheney team, they're not doing bad. They're sticking with California.
California leads this all-time series that dates back to 1973, 12-1. I mean, California lost the first game against the Cheney Wolves in '73, but since then Cal has won by no less than 17, their largest win over Cheney, coming in 2001 by a score of 68-12, a margin of 46 points. Cal about halfway to that mark so far in this game, but the California offense appears to be returning a lot of starters to the field. Word has it that the coaches weren't entirely pleased with California's first half effort. Unbeknownst to us, what may have went wrong on the field down there in the first half?
It was just sloppy play for California. They were not pleased with the fact that Brandon Lombardi had 19 carries, 73. That's a 3.8 yard per carry average for Brandon Lombardi. Guy that should be averaging somewhere around 5 yards per carry. He had a lot of runs of 1 and 2 yards. The offense and Coach Lockhart, they were not happy about that. And side note about Coach Lockhart, with that win against Bloomberg, tied for 4th on the career wins list at California. And with a win today, he can take 4th place by himself. But California, the starters are going to stay into this game. If they come in and they put a drive together to open the second half and they play well, they may come out. But if you see some mistakes, you're going to see them back out there at least one more possession.
Second half of football underway here. Cheney kicking it off to California. Deontay Henry steps up and returns it for the Vulcans. Has some good speed there. Bursts into the wedge in the middle of the field and is down at about the 40-yard line. So Joe Ruggiero should be leading the California offense back onto the field. He'll play at least the first couple of drives here early in the third quarter, as California looks to improve upon their lead last year, of course, winning the matchup between these two teams by a score of 43-8. It was 40-0 at halftime last year. California, if you remember, only answered with a field goal in the second half. We'll see if the outcome is much different this year, and it looks like the entire starting 11 for California will be coming back onto the field.
Well, starting 11 are out there, and those front 5 maybe include the tight end Gerger. I think you're going to see them go the full 60 here. These offensive linemen, especially with the week off next week, these offensive linemen need as much gameplay situation as they can because they're new starters. 4 of these guys are brand new on the line. We're going to have a penalty?
Does look like they moved the ball up 5 yards.
Okay, there was an illegal procedure on the kick for Cheney, so it goes 5 yards from the end of the return, is how California has elected to take this, and they do have the option of backing Cheney up 5 yards, making them kick again.
And something to add for Cheney, they intercepted that ball at the end of the second half. They have the momentum right now. Even though they're down 27-0, they had the big play at the end of the half. They should ride off of this into their first defensive series that they have.
California coming out in the I formation. That set had been somewhat abandoned since the first quarter. Only saw it a few times in the second. They'll go back to it here and back to Lombardi on the ground. Nice cut on the dive play up the middle. First play of the third quarter. Brandon Lombardi going bye-bye all the way to the end zone. About a 40-yard run. Lombardi made one move through the pile. A 60-yard run. Made a nice move through the pile on the dive. Cuts to the outside and had more speed than the Cheney Wolves could muster defensively, and he takes it all the way for 6.
That'll fix that 3.8 yard per carry average in a hurry. Lombardi now 20 carries, 127 yards and 3 touchdowns.
That was a great, he found the hole, he attacked it, he just sped up and used his speed to his advantage. It's a great play.
Extra point is up. This one goes through the uprights. 34-0, 14:43 to play in the third quarter. Brandon Lombardi getting it done the hard way for the Vulcans. We'll be back after these messages.
Loggerheads, the area's best in casual dining and entertainment. Loggerheads features cold drinks of every variety and a complete lineup of salads, sandwiches, gourmet pizzas, and nightly dinner specials. Loggerheads also offers daily food and drink specials, coffee and dessert items, or try our Sunday breakfast buffet available until 2 p.m. At night, you and your friends can enjoy local entertainment or various bar games. Loggerheads is located at Cole Center, 5 blocks from the California Business District.
$14:43 to play in the third quarter, just underway in the second half here on CUTV Sports coverage of California Vulcan football. And California is up 33-0 over the Cheney Wolves. California kicks it away, and the return is by number 38, Richard Kirkland, defensive back who's been very active in this game in pass coverage for the Wolves. This time his return goes nowhere. And Bo Thompson and the Wolves offense coming on the field for the first time in the second half, and we are officially, we've been saying it the whole game that we've been at that stage, Joe and Steph, but we now are officially at the mark where it's just time for Cheney to go out there and play for respect and try to get some positives to take away from this game offensively.
And that's what you should be doing. I mean, you have a team like California who's predicted to do fairly well. A team like maybe lower down in the PSAC West, yeah, you could fight a little more, but you're here for respect. You're here to represent your home area. If you can score a touchdown, even get a field goal, that's better than getting shut out. That's what they're looking for right now.
Bo Thompson dropping back to pass. A little screen give goes to Billy Mitchell right there. Mitchell gets hit pretty hard by Zunich, and then Fickerus comes in to help finish off the tackle. Positive gain on the play there for the Wolves, about 7 yards, make it. That'll set up a 2nd and 3.
And if you scout Josh and Ryan Moore, you're going to see one of their big positives right here. They wrap up the back, they wrap up receivers, they might not bring them down themselves, but they do not allow that extra yardage at the end of the play. And that's one of the reasons both of these guys may have a shot at the next level.
A good run right there by Jesse Phillips, getting back to the line of scrimmage after he was blown up in the backfield. So, you know what? Good job of getting back there and keeping this a 3rd down and short, a manageable situation for the Wolves. A little quick huddle there for the Wolves. Thompson will come back in with the I formation behind him. Phillips, the deep back. They're going to fake the handoff. Thompson will roll and run out of space, and then is stopped in the backfield. Fickerus able to get to the quarterback. Willie Walker able to get to the quarterback right there and bring up the punting unit for the Cheney Wolves. 13:25 to play. Vulcans force the Wolves into a 3-and-out.
Well, Gary Butler is the cause, and Willie Walker is the effect. Butler off the outside drew not only the tight end, he drew the running back as well, and then Willie Walker on that defensive line. Once he gets through his solo block, he has a clear sailing to Bo Thompson, the reason for the sack.
Mitchell back to punt, and returning for California. I think they've reinserted Moye into the punt return duties, and they have. He'll receive this one. Trying to head up the middle. A little juke move there isn't enough to evade Randolph Newton, 5'11", 175-pound freshman defensive back out of Simon Gratz High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Joe, Steph, I got to believe that it would only take about one more play like we just saw from Lombardi for the coaching staff to be satisfied with the mistakes they caught from the first half. I think if they can get it done one more drive, and you'll finally see the starters come out.
I think if Joe Ruggiero can put together a good drive, maybe passing with Nate Force, then you'll see him come out. You might see Brandon Lombardi come out after maybe even this series, because he did have the good run. He came back with what he was supposed to do. I think now it's up to Joe Ruggiero to see if he can get his little kinks worked out.
And Joe, the point you made at halftime is that this offensive line may play the full game, and that may be no more a result of the fact that this is mostly freshmen and sophomores down there on the offensive line, and every bit of experience helps.
Well,